I just want to start this video off by saying, bro, y'all, the world, what has the world gone to? This man said, not gonna lie, Roger Jackson fights, jail fights about to be legendary.
What's poppin', y'all? Raja Jackson, the son of Rampage Jackson, former UFC fighter, has finally been arrested for the incident that happened nearly a month ago at a wrestling event.
Finally is crazy.
This situation started prior to the situation. Raja Jackson was sparring and he's streaming as well, had been streaming, and he got head kicked really hard. He wobbled a little bit and he was concussed from it. And during that time, while he was recovering from the concussion, he was out and about streaming. He finds himself at this wrestling event, and at the wrestling event, someone comes up to him, and this guy, Psycho Stu, with the big beard, and he hits him on the head with a empty beer can. And then after that, he gets really angry. Roger Jackson gets really angry, and people break it up, and Psycho Stu apologizes. The wrestler that hit him with that, he thought he was part of the set, or he thought he was part of what was going on. They tell Roger Jackson that
I highly doubt that because if you're a wrestler, since this is like a TV show, you're gonna know actors on set, and they plan out all their stunts and all their beefs and all that beforehand. And if you've never seen him before, why would you just assume he's an actor? And you see he has a camera.
he's allowed to go in the ring and get his get back. They're like, yo, you can get your get back. You're allowed to go in the ring and get your lick back. So he goes in the ring and he takes the guy down, part of like a wrestling move, and he hits him and he keeps hitting him and he absolutely brutalizes him until they rip him off of the guy, Psycho Stu. And that guy's older. He looks to be in his late 30s, maybe early 40s, maybe even mid 40s. And the guy's teeth were not, people thought that he was dead, laid out dead. And Roger Jackson would be yelling and say, yeah, you know, like people aren't going to mess with me. And he was recently arrested. The people weren't sure what was going to happen. People thought that it was attempted murder. People were hoping for this guy to survive, and he did. He got out, but he got arrested for a felony, on a felony charge, and it was $50,000 bond. So he's currently still behind bars, probably overnight. He'll most likely bond out today by the time this video comes out, and we're set to see what happens from here. I personally thought that he wouldn't be charged. I didn't think that Psycho Stu would press charges, but maybe it's the police that decided that from what the information that they gathered, they had enough to arrest him and charge him with something. We don't know his official charge yet. We just know that it's a felony, as reported by TMZ. And this has to be a really tough time for Roger Jackson. I know a lot of people don't feel any sympathy for him whatsoever and think he's just this brute that's out to kill. And like I said previously in the previous video, I don't think that's the case, because if he was just a impulsive brute, then immediately once he was hit over the head with that beer can, he would have just launched into violence and he would not have taken time to process it. But his father had called him after he saw that clip, and his father, Rampage Jackson, was on the call with him and telling him like, man, son, you're not going to let people punk you like that. What's going on? So I think that really amped up Roger Jackson for him to go in there.
It's like your dad being like one of the most well-known or respected basketball players, like LeBron. Bro, LeBron's kids, like, bro, anytime they get on that court, people are always trying to. People are always like, bro, you're a nepo baby or this and that. So they always feel the need to prove themselves. And his dad calling them like that probably just gave him the easy final push to feel like he needed to prove himself and not come across as less than, because he already feel less than because he's not on the level of professional fighter his dad was at his age.
And that's why it's really sad when we would find out that Rampage Jackson had cut off Roger Jackson and was not speaking to him this was on September 3rd. So for weeks, he would not speak to his own son when he's awaiting the hardest moment of his life. Now, he was already concussed. He brutalized that guy. He doesn't know if he's going to get arrested or not. The entire internet hates him. They hate him, and he brought out the worst of the internet. Like, he brought out racists, people that are white supremacists, and then you can't imagine what they're calling him, the death threats that he's receiving. So in an interview with Ariel Helwani, he asks Rampage Jackson about why he's not talking to his son, and I'm gonna play you guys that clip right now.
Are you at all worried about his well-being?
Yeah, it's my son. I am worried about his well-being. How many kids you got?
I got 3.
All right, so why you asking me some stupid?
Well, can I be real with you?
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it would feel like to see my son do that. I also don't think I would cut my son off if he did that. So if you are worried about his well-being, why are you not talking to him?
Because he dishonored my name, and
But he's still your son.
no, listen. I know he's my son. I'm not cutting him off for forever. I just haven't talked to him.
But this is the worst moment of
I
his
talk-
life. He needs you now
No,
more than ever.
No, listen. I talked to him after this happened, and he hid the fact that he did this, and he put my other kids at danger based off what the other people said, and I just can't talk to him right now. I just can't. I'm not saying I'm never going to talk to him again. I just can't talk to him right now. I need some time. I'm dealing with his attorneys and all this, but I'm very disappointed in Roger. Like,
Bro, you egg this shit on. What are you talking about?
yeah, I'm not a perfect parent, so I don't know what's the protocol to how much time you stop from talking to your son when he goes out there and hurt somebody. He put a guy in a hospital.
Rampage is certainly right to be disappointed in him, and I'm a little bit confused with the part where he says he tried to hide that he did that when we all saw it on video. I don't know how that could be.
No, you can't be disappointed in your concussed son for being influenced by you okay, if your dad's a professional fighter and his dad seems to be like physically, we've seen him getting a lot of physical altercations, and one of the first things, like one of the first ways he solves problems is with violence. If you, a Roger Jackson, who was a dad of a Rampage Jackson, UFC superstar, and he sees the beer can incident happen, then he calls you and say, "Don't be getting punked. My son ain't finna get punked." In the way you've been taught and you've seen your father and your mom's died, the way you've seen your father handle problems is normally through physical violence. How are you gonna attack these problems? I'm not justifying what Roger did, but like, it's not even. I don't even think it's his fault. And he's concussed. When you're concussed, your brain's not fully there. Your you know what I'm saying. Your judgment is not there fully. So I think he was influenced, and he's a product of his environment. His dad can't be mad at all because this is literally what he created. This is how Rampage would have handled this situation if he was Roger's age. I think he would, and concussed. I think he would have handled it similar. So I don't agree with him being disappointed.
Hidden, but I think he has, and he says like he really disappointed him and he dishonored his name, and I would understand if he distanced himself from it, but it's almost as if he was agitated to do that because you were disappointed in him when you called him for somebody playing with his name or disrespecting him and not to let people disrespect him. And that type of talk, especially from an authority figure that he looks up to, whether it could even be a coach, but in this case it's his father who he likely idolizes. He looks at you as a legend. Many people look at Rampage as a legend that are fighters that aren't even his son. So imagine you're his son as well. And then him getting cut off after that, I think that's got to be heartbreaking for Roger Jackson. And Rampage, he also wanted some accountability to be taken by Psycho Stu and the organizers. And I'm going to play you guys this clip right now.
Where would we be if Roger would have killed that man? Where would we be? Thank God Psycho Stu, pulled through. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I stopped listening to the attorneys. I got really upset with all the death threats and all this stuff, and I wanted Psycho Stu to tell his part that my son did not sneak up on him, and I never heard him say that. So now I'm upset. Now I'm upset. Now I'm upset with Psycho Stu because he didn't come out and say, "Oh, whoa, yeah, what Roger did was up," but he didn't sneak in the ring and do this. The staged. That's all he had to say to get some of these racist motherfuckers out of my DMs. Hey, he's seeing all this how it blew up and stuff like that. He should at least said something.
Okay.
Take some accountability. Like, honestly, everybody was wrong. Roger was the most wrong. Everybody was wrong, but none of this ever would have happened if Psycho Stu never hit my son on the back of the head with a can.
Agreed. It was the side of the head. And if the promoters would have never let Roger in the event and told him to go beat up bro or get his lick back or whatever, I agree.
They was drinking beer out of and then grabbed him by the neck, asked him to sell it. If that shit never happened, none of this never happened. And the promoters was wrong for putting an outsider inside of a pro wrestling match. Everybody's wrong. The dumbest thing I ever seen. It was nightmare.
I do think Rampage Jackson has a point here. Now, what he's saying is that when this clip spreads around the internet and the amount of hate that he's getting, and for Rampage Jackson, someone whose humor is quite insensitive, he is not somebody that gets triggered lightly. So for him to use the word that, like, yo, these racist people are all up on my stuff and they're harassing me and my other kids, I believe that it's probably worse things than you could possibly imagine that are being said to him and they're threatening him with, because the people that see the clip, they think that, oh, this guy just hopped out of his chair, went into the ring, and started wailing on the guy.
Right.
And what Rampage is saying is like, yo, I would appreciate it if at least these guys said, no, we organized this as a skit. It was part of the show for him to go in. It just went a little bit too far. And
Facts.
that's the
That's what
distinction
happened.
that Rampage Jackson wants made. Psycho, and he's like, yo, Psycho Stu, if he had never hit my son over the head, this would have never happened either. And he is correct. Like this was a lot of series of mistakes that built up to this explosive moment that ruined a lot of people's lives and or reputations. However, Rampage was also extending an olive branch. Like Psycho Stu, he had teeth knocked out. That's how brutally Raja had been putting hands on him, and he had gotten out healthy and okay from the hospital, and Rampage had been collaborating, because Rampage has still been streaming this entire time, which I can't imagine how difficult that is for him, because he's still got to be entertaining and put on a show for all of the people watching him whilst going through this, so he has to act out a lot more. But he's been collaborating with this dentist, this cosmetic dentist, and getting people's teeth fixed and stuff like that. And what he did is he wanted to cover the teeth for Psycho Stu, so I'm gonna play you guys that clip right now.
Can I nominate an American to get his smile back? Yeah. His name is Psycho Stu. I pay for that out of my pocket. You the man. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. I'm waiting for him to call me back.
Okay, sure thing. Just let me know.
And it's unfortunate because the race people that had so much to say about Rampage Jackson and just want to label him and his son as these people that are uncivilized and can't like function in regular society and they're violent and this and that, they're not going to talk about this. They're not going to spread this clip around. They're not going to show that Rampage actually feels bad about how this entire situation turned out, and so much so that he's not just jumping to his son's defense.
It's not about what's right. It's about what people can engage in and what gets clicks, for sure.
Like, that's the easy thing for somebody to do. Like, my son was right. You were wrong. You shouldn't have done that. You would have known better. No, he's disappointed in his son, so much so that he cut his son off, which people disagree with that approach as well. But he's not going to sit there and say that that guy had no involvement in agitating the situation and what eventually happened to him from his son and the people at the event and the person that encouraged Roger Jackson to get in there and hit him if he wanted to get his get back for the situation.
And if you heard the way Roger was talking, he was like, as long as I can get my get back, I'm straight. He didn't sound like a person who was going to hit him once and then that was it. He sounded like a nigga who wanted to fight. You know what I'm saying? And this promoter right here, whether because he wasn't thinking or he thought Roger understood, I think it's the biggest at fault is the promoter. Because I would have heard Roger talking and I would have picked up on and be like, yeah, this nigga actually wants to fight. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, but I don't know. But I wouldn't have let him in the front and told him to go get in that ring. Because he obviously wanted to hurt, bro. This wasn't on some respect. Like, I think it's the promoter's fault. I'd say if I was Psycho Stu, I would sue the promoters for putting you in danger. Because it's not Roger's fault that he didn't understand. And he's a trained fighter. Yeah.
Situation. So I think, unfortunately, this just turned out poorly. But
Roger is low-key kind of a victim of this whole thing. And he just acted in his natural state of aggression that he was trained to be by Rampage. Low-key. He's low-key kind of a victim in this situation.
the part that I found really odd was when he said Roger Jackson should do some time. I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
All that. Roger,
God.
I think that he should do a little time, do a little community service, and go to anger management class, see some therapy.
But, you know, that goes, like some people said it was attempted murder and things like that. That's not a little time.
It wasn't attempted murder because he wasn't trying to kill that guy.
How do you know?
Because that's my son. I know my son. Roger wasn't trying to kill nobody. He wasn't trying to kill that. He wasn't trying to kill the guy. Roger probably didn't even know how bad he hurt that guy. He wasn't trying to kill that guy. The problem is everything got blown out of proportion, and people thought that Roger snuck into the ring and did that. That's what the problem is. Like,
Right.
at this point, Roger was in the act as a pro wrestler, but he ain't no pro wrestler. The promoters had no reason putting my son in that ring. So, but it was no attempted murder.
I think that's a really tough thing to say as a father, and I think that's a really tougher thing to hear as his son. Because keep in mind, the only thing that he's hearing from his father, because he's not talking to him, is via social media. So he's hearing that he's got to do time and community service. This is a really hard situation, because when I kind of don't want Roger Jackson to sit there and do time, but I'm thinking, if Psycho Stu was very, very close to me, a close friend or family, would my emotions cause me to feel different about Roger?
But you hit this nigga on the head with a beer can and you didn't know whether he was if you don't know, the answer should be no. If you're unsure, it's better to just say no. You didn't know for sure that Roger was a wrestler. You never seen this nigga on set. Nobody talked to you and said that he was going to be a part of the act. Nobody said there was going to be a special guest or nothing like that. And it's backstage where wrestlers are just chilling and that's it. And you're telling me you just hit him on... I think Psycho Stu is a little drunk as well. But regardless, that was his poor lapse of judgment that caused this chain of events, not Roger. Roger was there for a friend and was just streaming. He wasn't trying to fight nobody. And he just got concussed. He literally just had a concussion days ago. So, I mean... Then Raja was angry. It was obvious that he was angry, and he was gonna let bro walk off with a pass. But then Stream hyped him up. Then his dad hyped him up. It was like, you sitting here hugging dudes in tights after they hit you over the head with bottles. Don't be no punk. Who's a millionaire, well sought after fighter who's known for literally being the opposite of a bitch, right? And then he starts to get angry, and he obviously shows signs of somebody who wants to cause physical violence to somebody else, and the promoter still lets him get in the ring. This whole thing could have been avoided multiple occasions at multiple different points. So I'd say it's not Raja's fight. Raja got pushed into this, and once he was there, and he kind of just went all in because he was already there. It's adrenaline. It's no different than when we watch cops videos and we see a cop shoot a suspect like 3 times, and they're obviously kind of like, they already kind of stopped already, and they're not like running at them no more, but the cops keep shooting because it's like adrenaline. You know what I'm saying? And I'd be like, why do cops keep shooting even though they've already hit you 3 times and you're obviously not running at them too fast anyways anymore? It's the adrenaline. You're in the moment and you're just going, right? Logic doesn't kick in situations like that. So this isn't Roger Jackson's fault. I don't think he should go to jail. Should he get some sort of therapy? I think he should distance himself from his father too, for sure, because his dad doesn't seem like a good dad. But I don't think he should go to jail because, frankly, this wasn't his fault. It was the people. And again, too, you got to remember, he's concussed, so he's not in his full right of mind. So he should be around people that can make judgment for him, and the people all around him failed in lapse of judgments. And he just was Psycho Stu was a back burner of that. So yeah, I don't think Roger Jackson should go to jail personally.
Roger Jackson.
And it's not attempted murder. I don't think it's attempted murder.
And doing time. And I think it would. That's why it's so hard for me to say whether he deserves time or not. But the attempted murder that they were saying would potentially come down the...
I look at it like this. If you're going to charge him, you got to charge Psycho Stu. You got to charge the wrestling promoter. You have to charge everybody. And if you're not willing to charge everybody, you might as well not charge nobody. Let Rampage pay for that nigga teeth. Maybe give him like 100 bands. Go about life. That's the best I'd give a nigga. Anything outside of that, let's just take it to court there, nigga.
pipeline did not happen. Ariel Helwani said, "Oh, like they're saying it's attempted murder." He's like, "Nah, it's not attempted murder because he just caught a felony. If it was attempted murder, we would have heard about it. So it's probably just like felony assault or something like that. But it would be his first offense. I just wouldn't want the guy to have a criminal record because the guy's not a criminal. From what we've seen, he's 25 years old. If the guy was a criminal, he would have had a criminal record by then. So it's really more of the record than the punishment, the way that I look at it. And him doing a little community service, I do think that makes sense. Anger management for sure, because when he gets angry, he really gets angry. And I think the way that his father looks at him has a lot to do with how angry he gets.
Therapy.
But you guys let me know what you think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.